Started. Hello and a very good afternoon to all of you. On behalf of Department of Basic Science and Humanities, IM Kolkata, I welcome all of you to the 5-day long international lecture series on language and literature, where a plethora of speakers from all around the world will be joining and will be sharing their views on language and literature. We are really overwhelmed by the huge response that we have received from all over the world. Participants have joined from places like Georgia, Australia, UK, Philippines, South Africa, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Oman, Philippines, Indonesia, Nepal, Bangladesh, so on and so forth. So we request all of you to be present with us for the entire 5 day of lecture series. I, as part of the organizing committee, would request all of you to kindly post all your comments and queries only through the comment box of the YouTube channel. At the very onset of the event, I would like to introduce our Honorable Director, Sir, to all of you. Dr. Satyajit Chakraborty is the Director of Institute of Engineering and Management and the Pro Vice Chancellor of University of Engineering and Management. He is the president of three non-profit organizations in USA, Canada, and India promoting education, culture, STEM education in kids, innovation and entrepreneurship among students, patents and research contribution among industry researchers and faculty. He has five technology companies under his aegis in USA, Canada, India, and Singapore. The companies deal in the area of software product development, tech, health and wellness, electronics, hardware. Dr. Satyajit Chakraborty did his schooling from Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. He studied computer science and engineering at Institute of Engineering and Management. He completed his Master of Science at University of British Columbia. He was awarded the Doctor of Philosophy degree from National Institute of Technology, Agartala. As a person, he is very passionate about technology, innovation and entrepreneurship, clean energy, nature and sustainability, education, media, arts and culture. Now I'd like to ask Professor Dr. Satyajit Chakraborty to share some words with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Abhishekta madam. I'm honored to be able to speak at such an august gathering. And the topic of today's meeting, the International Lecture Series on Language and Literature Day, is very relevant to our mandate. We are here in the as a leading player in the field of higher education, and we transform students to professionals, and their communication, their language, and their overall development is an integral part of that transformational recipe. Although many people tell we are primarily in engineering and management, but with the new educational policy, now humanities has become an integral part of engineering education or technical education. And so you know uh, our mandate, or our um, enabling the language and literature to be an integral part of our system has played correctly. Okay, it has played very correctly. We have taken this initiative quite a few years back, and now even the government of India has made the national education policy such that these are an integral part of all the technical education. So I myself am very passionate in writing, of course, but I don't write big novels. I like to write short stories, short fiction and non-fiction work, articles, and I'm also very much keen on language and other literary works. I like to read them, and I like to portray, give speeches, talks whenever possible. So this subject is very close to my heart, and I must congratulate the team who are from the IM side, and they are all so passionate that I think we all complement each other. I think we all energize and synergize each other because all of us are very passionate about this field. So I wish the best of luck for the organizing team, and we will definitely be the flag bearers and be the leaders, especially in the NEP, National Education Policy, because we have lots of years of experience, whereas the other colleges and universities will be implementing this first time, but we will have maybe decades of experience. Okay, thank you all, thank you for inviting me, and good luck.
Thank you, sir, for supporting us all through. Now, I would like to request Professor Moshumi Paul to kindly introduce our Dean of HRDC, Professor Mohua Chakraborty.
Thank you very much, Abhishekta ma'am. And after having such an amazing introductory session, introductory speech, now I would like to introduce another esteemed dignitary who is none other than our very own Professor Dr. Mohua Chakraborty. Well, Professor Chakraborty presently holds the post of Dean, Faculty Development Program, and Professor of the Department of Information Technology, in short IT, Institute of Engineering and Management, IEM, Kolkata. She also holds the post of Head of Human Resource Development Center, short as HRDC IEM. Prior to this, she was the head of the Department of Information Technology for the tenure of 12 years. She has done BTech and MTech from the Institute of Radio Physics and Electronics, Calcutta University, in the year 1994 and 2000, respectively, and PhD in the field of mobile computing from Jadavpur University in 2007. She is a chartered manager and has received Chartered Management Institute CMI Level 5 certification from Dudley College, London, UK in 2019. She is the topper of MTech and subsequently received prestigious Paresh Lal Dhar Bhomik Award from Calcutta University in 2000. She is also the recipient of Rashtriya Gaurav Award in 2019, received Certified Pablons Academy Mentor certification in August 2020. She has been awarded certification of appreciation as one of the top 50 distinguished HOD of TSA and IT department in higher education across India for the year 2019 by the Academic Council of ULZK on 31st July 2020. She is one of the top 20 out of 200 participants of AICT UCARI Technical Leadership Program organized during 2018-19 by AICT, British Council and Dudley College of Technology, Dudley, UK. Selected for a week study tour to UK in October 2019, she is the recipient of Research Excellence Award by Institute of Scholars in 2020. In addition, she is the member of editorial board of several international journals. She has published 4 patents and over 80 research papers in reputed international journals and conferences. She is the volume editor of contributed books, Proceedings of International Ethical Hacking Conferences, eHacken 2018 and eHacken 2019. In Springer series, Advances in Intelligent Systems and Computing book series, AISC Volume 811, published by Springer. Her book, entitled Network Security and End-to-End Panorama, will be published by Springer in September 2020. She has handled many research projects with worth rupees 35 lakhs funded by the DST, AICT, CSIR and NRDC, and has published quite a large number of research papers in high-impact journals. Her research areas include network security, cognitive radio, brain-computer interface, parallel computing, etc., etc. She is a member of IEEE Communication Society and IEEE Computational Intelligence Society, as well as the faculty advisor of IEEE Communication Society and IEEE Computational Intelligence Student Branch, chapters of IEM Kolkata section. So after taking a breath, I would like to introduce Professor Chakraborty, Mohua Chakraborty. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, Moshumi, for this introduction. First of all, at the very onset, let me congratulate the entire organizing team of IEM in organizing this 5-day lecture series on English literature and language. So this has been done in collaboration with HRDC. I will be taking this opportunity in this August platform to introduce to all of you the working environment of HRDC of IM. But prior to this, let me talk a bit about the conference. This is a very important concept that has been taken up by the Basic Science and Humanities Department of IEM in organizing this lecture series, 5-day lecture series on English language and literature. Though it is, though IEM is an engineering and management organization, still, in order that the students shine in all aspects in their life, the medium of instruction, the medium by which they are communicating or conversing with the other parties nowadays is English. So, English is very important in our day to day lives in order to express our views. So, I congratulate all of you. And it is a very important event where academicians of all over the world, researchers, professors have participated in this August conference. So let me talk a bit about the Human Resource Development Center at IEM. Prior to the naming of Human Resource Development Center, this was named as Faculty Development Cell way back in 2014. And I was the one who headed this cell. We had conducted many faculty development programs. But in 2017, it was graduated to Human Resource Development Center that catered to the needs of all the faculty members and staff members of the Institute of Engineering and Management, as well as its sister concerns, University of Engineering and Management, Jaipur, and University of Engineering and Management, Kolkata. It basically looks after the upskilling and reskilling of the faculty members in the recent areas which require attention. Now, we have been conducting these faculty development programs for the past few years with the help of all the departmental heads and assistant heads and all the other staff members. But very recently, in the COVID situation, since we are in the lockdown mode, it was a director whose intention was to rescale and upskill the teachers in this pandemic situation, sitting at home. It is then that Human Resource Development Center organized the FDPs in different phases, and it turned out to be a huge success. I would just enumerate some of the uh, programs that we are organizing. It is organizing the Human Resource Development Center is organizing various faculty development programs in different phases. Right now, we are in phase 4, and prior to this, we had phases 1, 2, and 3, where we organized almost 7 different faculty development programs. Like courses, we conducted these courses, which are of 1 month duration. Like they are of 4 week duration, and including the teaching material, including the quizzes, including the weekly assignments and live doubt clearing classes by industry experts as well as by the faculty members of our organization. It accounts to roughly 1.5 months duration and roughly 36-hour duration. So these are all video lectures which are basically uploaded in our online learning platform, I am Learning. So I'm sure this will be a grand success like all other faculty development programs that we are holding in this case. And I wish this event a grand success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mohua ma'am, for such an enlightening speech. Now, I would like to introduce the head of the of Department of Basic Science and Humanities, IM Kolkata. Professor Prabir Kumar Dash is the head of the Department of Basic Science and Humanities, Institute of Engineering and Management, Kolkata. He is also the faculty head of IM Innovation Lab. He is an honorable member of Indian Chamber of Commerce, that is ICC. He also serves as the chairman of club administration at Rotary Club of Salt Lake Silicon Valley, RID 3291. He is an esteemed academic professional member of Society for Data Science. He has more than 15 years of teaching experience in the field of science and technology. Sir, over to you. Just share some words with us.
Thank you, Abhishekta ma'am. So, respected Professor Shotyajit Chakraborty, our Honorable Director of IM, respectable Professor Moa Chakraborty, Dean HRDC of IM, our distinguished delegates or guest of today's session, Professor Shamapika Das, Faculty Head, LTI Kolkata Chapter, Professor Abhishekta Bhattacharya, Professor IM, my colleagues, and other distinguished faculty members and professionals from different organizations who has, you know, come for this particular program, attending this particular session. This is really a very happy occasion for all of us. And I first of all welcome all of you to this 5-day international distinguished lecture series on language and literature. Without the aid of this language and humanities, all other disciplines like science, engineering, management, whatever may be the discipline, they becomes incomplete. They are not complete without the aid of this humanity. By studying this humanities, students basically build the skills in critical thinking, research, reading, and writing, which help to create effective oral and written communications. Education in the humanities benefits students, helping them to communicate with the non-academic world. We, from the inception of our institute, our founder, president sir, as well as our director sir, has that vision in their mind. They are, and faculty member of Basic Science and Humanities of Institute of Engineering and Management have devoted themselves since more than 30 years of imparting the knowledge and education on these humanities subjects. And they are trying their best to create global platform and environment for the humanities enthusiasts. Because we firmly believe without the support of this language and literature, all these humanities subjects, with whether it is an engineer, whether doctor, whether any professionals, management executive, they are incomplete. And being an engineering and management college, IM is one of the very few colleges in India where humanities subjects get lots of importance along with other mainstream subjects. So I'm taking this opportunity to thank and acknowledge our director sir and president sir for this visionary approach. Being an engineering and management college where we have a different innovative labs like artificial intelligence lab, AR, VR lab, side by side we have several language lab, advanced language lab, and other facilities, other lots of events for the humanities subjects also. We have our vibrant LTI chapter. We organize every year international conference on English learning and teaching skills, which is now very well known as ICLTS, where every year we get speakers and participants across the globe. More than 40-50 countries, we get the speakers as well as the participants. And we celebrate International Language Day Festival. We celebrate International Poetry Congress. We celebrate International Cultural Festival. Not only in India, but in also abroad like New York or Vancouver. So, Today, every one of us are suffering, or rather, in a bit down situation with the COVID outbreak. But IM is one of the institute where since the lockdown has started, there is no disruption of education, no disruption, absolutely no disruption of education, starting from the classes, starting from the laboratories, starting from the examination, everything happened very smoothly, and that has only become possible with the visionary approach of our president sir, director sir, dedicated effort by our faculty members, and sincere cooperation by our all student and other stakeholders. So I'm taking this opportunity to congratulate all the stakeholders of IM for their tremendous effort to make it happen. Because in IM, education, innovation, discipline, these are the most important things we keep in our mind, we take it very religiously, and we follow it. Apart from these English learning and teaching skill conferences, there are lots of around 34 conferences happened in different domains, starting from science, technology, management. As already Moa ma'am mentioned, that there are several faculty development programs organized in different verticals. So I am very much hopeful that, like all other events, this event will also be a successful one with all your active cooperation and participation, and all your presence actually shows that whatever may be the circumstances, if you are having a will of learning, nothing can stop us from the learning. Today we may not meet physically, but because of this online platform, we can share and exchange our knowledge, and we can enrich ourselves, which in turn we can provide to our beloved students and also the family members. So with this, I conclude my speech. Thank you all. Have a happy learning. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your enlightening speech. Now I would request Professor Ria Badoi to kindly introduce our Assistant HOD, Dr. Shahapika Das Bishwas. Ria ma'am, you are muted. You are muted.
Okay, yeah. So thank you so much, Abhishekta madam, for sharing the podium. Now I would like to welcome and introduce another dignitary we have with us, Professor Dr. Shahapika Das Biswas. Dr. Shahapika Das Biswas is the Assistant Head of Department of Basic Science and Humanities. She is also a renowned psychologist and the counselor IIM Kolkata. She is the Managing Editor of International Journal of English Learning and Teaching Skills, IGELS. She is also the convener of International Conference of English Learning and Teaching Skills, that is ICLTS. She is an esteemed member of the Postgraduate Syllabus Committee at Netaji Subhas Open University and President and Convener at LTI Kolkata chapter. She further serves as the Vice President of IM Inner Wheel Club and Rotary Club of Scott Flakes, Silicon Valley. Moreover, she is a treasurer in IM Toastmasters Club. So over to you, Madam Shahapika Das Biswas. The podium is all yours. Madam, please share with us some of your comments and views. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Priya ma'am. I hope I am audible enough. So good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, all, to this our small initiative, 5 days international FDP along with learning series. So on the behalf of LTI Kolkata chapter and the president, it is an immense pleasure to welcome you all in this event. LTI Kolkata is an association of English Language Teaching Association of India. It is associated with our ELT as well as our IM and QM university and college. We developed this chapter since 2018. We organize and collaborate on multiple events to enrich and enhance the English language, teaching, and learning. So, I just welcome all of you in this professional body. Most of you are very known with this chapter. I will just tell one thing on behalf of this chapter. If you are willing to join, so this is the right time. Just send us one request mail, and you can be the part of this entire professional body. So thank you all, and again, and welcoming you for this event. Thank you so much, ma'am, Ria ma'am, and Abhishekta ma'am. Over to you. Now we can start our program. Thank you.
Thank you, Shapika ma'am, for your support. So the first speaker of the day, Dr. Pushpalata, has already joined with us. So I would request Professor Shohini Datta to kindly introduce Dr. Pushpalata.
Thank you, Professor Abhishekta. It is a great pleasure to be associated with this lecture series, and it's my pleasure to introduce Professor Dr. Pushpalata. Professor Pushpalata has been associated with the Department of Humanities and Languages, Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Pilani, since 1994. She did her PGDTE from FBLU, earlier known as CFL Hyderabad, and PhD from University of Rajasthan, Jaipur, India. She is a highly capable professional English teacher with a focus on student learning and engagement. She has exceptional knowledge of delivering instruction with technology and empowering students to valuable resources. She is an avid researcher and has been working in the fields of English language teaching, computer mediated language teaching and learning, syllabus designing, designing teaching materials for both classroom and beyond classroom teaching. She has got 54 research papers in various fields, various anthologies, national and international journals as well. She has co-authored 15 books for the reputed publishers like Oxford University Press and Prentice Hall, India. She has delivered more than 100 managerial talks, lectures, webinars on effective communication, managerial communication, innovative pedagogy, flipped classroom teaching, soft skills, academic writing, assessment literacy, group discussions, and job interviews. She also conducts a lot of training programs, workshops, and other activities for student teachers and corporate professionals. We are very lucky to have Professor Pushpalata among us today in this lecture series. Professor Dr. Pushpalata, over to you.
Hope I'm audible to you all.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Rana. Yeah, so good afternoon, one and all present here. It's an honor to be part of this international lecture series that is being conducted by Institute of Engineering and Management, Kolkata. I was going through the flyer that you have, sent for this lecture series. I was, I was so surprised and pleasantly surprised to see the kind of topics that you have selected. It's related to language teaching, literature teaching, especially when we have to teach online. As all of us know, with this sudden outbreak of COVID-19, it has told our entire existence. Every aspect of our life is widely impacted, and we are facing a lot of challenges, and education is not left untouched. Now the question comes that with these challenges, we English teachers have to get some training so that we have to get adjusted with the change exchange for the pedagogical, interventions that we need to make, the instructional delivery that we have to do, and also online assessment that we are supposed to do for our students, so that our entire teaching learning goes on smoothly. So I really thank the organizers for conceptualizing this very well timed lecture series on this area. And particularly I would like to thank Professor Prabir Kumar Das, HOD, Department of Basic Science and Humanities, and also Professor Sampika Das Viswas, who is Assistant HOD, Department of Basic Science and Humanities. And I can see there are 7 8 more professors on this organizing committee. I thank each one of you for putting in the hard work and organizing this very meaningful lecture series. So thank you very much for inviting me. I feel really honored. And now, without any further ado, I think I should be sharing my slides so that we can go ahead. Will that be fine, organizers?
Yes, madam.
Okay, so hope my slides are visible.
Yes,
Yes,
Uh,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yes, ma'am.
it's
it's,
perfectly visible.
should I do the full slide show?
Sure.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So thank you very much once again. And going ahead, the topic of my talk is new media and innovative English language teaching in the post-COVID era. Uh, we have already set the backdrop for our discussion, but still, I think we need to be on the same page. We feel that COVID-19 has shaken us our lives. So I would really like to know from my participants when it comes to impact of COVID-19 pandemic on education, what are the two major negative impacts that you see we have on our teaching learning environment? Could you quickly write in the chat box so that I get an idea? It will be difficult for me when I do the uh, full slideshow. Okay, I can check from here. Yeah. Yes. It's gone. Yeah, now it's there. Yeah, I can see that. So, yeah, chalk and talk mode of teaching is challenged. Very right, Abhishekta. Very well said. I think all of us have observed that now we have to move away from chalk and talk, and then we are taking online teaching into our stride. Yes. Any more answers for that?
Yes, ma'am. There is one question from our viewers.
Okay.
Continuous online screen viewing. This is a
Yeah.
negative impact.
Yeah. Actually, that's a very good point that the hours of watching the screen and be in the in contact of the screen, it has increased, and it's affecting our eyes and overall health. That's very true. So I think you can realize that when it comes to negative impacts, it's about the kind of teaching we have been doing in the classroom. There we were regularly in personal contact with our students. We used to have face to face interactions. We used to watch their body language. We used to see on day to day basis if they were not comfortable with something that we taught them. And when they were talking to us, we had an ample amount of opportunity where we could see, especially we are language teachers, so we could see that where they need some more training, so we could suggest them accordingly. But now it becomes slightly difficult. So rightly said, I'm very happy that you have made very good points out here. Now coming to two positive impacts of this COVID-19 pandemic. Do you see, is there any positive impact? in terms of language teaching and learning. Yeah, webinars like this. uh, Sure, I think it's a it's a well-made point, and of course, I think we have got a lot of training through these webinars, and I think when it comes to if you ask anybody, they will say that when we go for online teaching, we find that attendance is also improved. If your institute has zero attendance policy, then certainly you will be surprised that more number of students coming on screen and then attending your classes. That's there. Another thing is, earlier I think most of the teachers, they had not a very friendly approach towards technological gadgets. You will agree that uh, many of us have started taking this into our stride, have started using Google Meet, Zoom for our classes, and then we are preparing our question papers also on Google Form or Microsoft Form. So a lot of learning is also taking place. So in a way, what we were not ready to accept and adapt, now with this, you know uh, a sudden change, we are also developing an approach and attitude which really make us take up these technological devices or the platforms to our advantage, especially for our profession, because now we have to really learn all these for our bread and butter. So hope all of you agree. Okay, now any two challenges, because when we come to post COVID-19 era, I think it's very important for all of us as teachers to understand what kind of challenges are we going to face after schools will reopen, colleges will reopen, universities will reopen. So can I get quick answers on that as well? Two challenges.
Ma'am, one of our viewer is writing that not everyone is technology savvy, and that is the most challenging situation that we are currently undergoing.
Yeah, very true, very true. I think when it comes to our country, not all the students, they are tech savvy, and not even all the teachers are tech savvy, because we have not got any, like, I'm not talking about you know uh, teachers who are from technological institutes and from very reputed colleges and universities and schools. I'm talking about, excuse me, on an average, I think we find that most of these students and teachers, they have not been given any training for using these platforms to their advantage. Excuse me. Sorry for the interruption. Yes. So other challenges also, we can see that we have started teaching, but at times we are not really comfortable in preparing our quizzes, our test papers. We don't know what way to conduct the activities where we can involve everybody. If you reflect the way you have been conducting your face-to-face classes, there you were taking up the activities where you could involve each and everyone, whether it was for developing their writing skills, even for their and helping them with the increasing their grammatical accuracy, or it was for the effective listening skills, or maybe for let's say for speaking skills. You were designing the activities, the exercises where you can have better student engagement in your classes. But when it comes to online education, online teaching learning platforms, if we do not get training, if we do not have understanding, if we do not know from where to tap those resources so that we can really make our teaching and learning uh, really learner oriented. So, and we can in true sense, we can provide our learners autonomy that can really help the learner groom themselves. Excuse me. So I think my slide is stuck. Excuse me. Why it's not going? Can somebody help?
Ma'am, you just stop share and share the screen once again.
Okay. Hope it's visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry for this technological glitch. Now, yes, dear participants, here are 5 images in front of you. So can you just see what is common in these images? You can see the first one, the student is really, fed up with whatever he has to do in terms of writing. The second one on the right hand side, you can see with loads of reading assignments and writing assignment, this little angel, she is really, in a helpless situation. She feels that, she doesn't want to do, but she has to do. Coming to the, in the bottom line, you can see on the left hand side of mine, there is an image which talks about that how students, they are disinterested, and if at all somebody has to force himself. And here's a little cute puppy who says, no more teach reading and writing, let me sleep off. And then coming to the last one also, you can see a girl is turning away from the blackboard, what teacher is teaching, so a lot of distraction. So you can understand the bottom line is, here is an environment where students, they are getting disinterested, getting distracted and bored and not enthusiastic. So as teachers, would we like to have this kind of an environment? Would we like our students to have this kind, we want our students to experience this kind of boredom in the classes, or bored with their teaching learning assignments? No, I think all of us will agree that we want something like this. Look at the first image here. You see the change that we can perceive. Now here is a teacher who is teaching with the help of laptop, and little tiny kids, they are looking at her and they are interacting, and teacher is also very keen. Now look, let us see on the right hand side in the first row, there is requirement of open education uh, system. Now, it was already there, it existed, but we did not have the acceptance, we did not have the appreciation. It was not that popular. But now, in order to reach everyone, to make education accessible to everyone, I think this COVID-19 pandemic has created in us little acceptance, and I think now we will not have that kind of hesitation if somebody wants to go for open education to complete their education. And moreover, we find that people from the remotest villages can also go for open education, and also of any age group, people who are interested to continue their education program can go ahead. So this is the these are the merits of open education system, which are becoming more acceptable to us in this pandemic time, in these pandemic times. Now coming to the image that is given there at the bottom, you can see why open education, why technology. I think all of us will agree that students, they can use it at their own pace, they can use it whenever they want, it's right there with them. So it provides them more autonomy in their, for their own learning, so they can control their pace, they can you choose their time. So this is something all of us understand. But I think this particular COVID-19 pandemic times have really made us accept this. Now we don't have any two opinions when it comes to this environment. Now, on your right hand side at the bottom, you find the national education policy. uh, I, when I was working on this on my slides, I said that it's very important for us to understand that government is also making provisions where we can use technology to our advantage, which can really enable our students to have better learning environment. They can have simulated uh, uh, experiments so that they can watch them carefully at their own pace. If they could not make it in the classroom, later on they can make it. And right now also, government has made the provision of I don't remember the number of channels which Delhi Doordarshan is has devoted for the continuing education of students from primary to 12th standard. But I think more than 20 channels they have devoted in different languages for different subjects. So it's this shows e-Ganga and e-Pathshala. These are the major uh, mm, ventures, which major programs that our government has come up with. And I think it is going to bring some good change for those who are not able to have the costly gadgets, or if they cannot go to school because of the health reasons or something, even later on they will be benefited. Now, coming to the from COVID-19 to post COVID-19 era, for some time we will have this kind of a scene in our classrooms. It will be the part of our dress code, wearing the mask, maintaining the social distancing. On the right hand, you can see that so far we have smart boards, or we have projectors, not in all the colleges and not in all the schools and universities, but we find only a few uh, universities, schools, and colleges, they have these kinds of technological gadgets which can really help their to make the teaching learning more conducive for their learners. So now it will become a need for almost all the colleges, universities, and schools. Uh, I'm taking backwards because I think I have a feeling that most of the participants of this online lecture series are the university and college teachers. So, but I'm including schools because for schools also it's a wide reality. So our uh, governments, the state government, governments, and the central governments also have to make extra investment in developing the infrastructure that can really help our students in the post COVID-19 era. But that is the in terms of investment, in terms of infrastructure. But what we can do, that's more important, because where we have the control, where we can groom ourselves, and we can understand our students much better when it comes to English language teaching and learning. That is the focus of my talk today. So first we will talk about that. When we talk about new media, we are going to talk about what is new media, why do we require that, is it so that new media can really help us in improving the quality of teaching and learning today, and especially when it comes to English language teaching and learning, then especially for when it comes to uh, teaching communication skills and literature, we need to try to find out the answers for these questions, being English teachers. So, as I said, that the first major advantage of new media is, or ICT, is that, and particularly it is called Web 2.0. Here, education is for everyone, anywhere, anytime. So we must make use of this. And also, another vital factors that we cannot go back in time. It never happens. Whatever changes happen, we have to adapt to them, and we need to continue so that we can take up those challenges into our stride, and then make the desirable changes, so that we have effective instructional delivery in our classrooms. We can have better student engagement, which are the primary objective when it comes to our profession. So there's a paradigm shift. It's in all the disciplines, let it be engineering or management or humanities, social sciences, and let it be, in mathematics. You take up any or basic sciences, you will find in all the disciplines, maybe architecture or maybe, maybe art and painting or maybe music. For all the disciplines, there is a paradigm shift, and this is the time when all the teachers, they should think through that how we can make use of new media. So uh, when we are talking about the role of new media, and we need to first have the clarity what is new media and what are its characteristic features. If we don't know, then we cannot make a right selection for our classes, for the particular element that we are teaching in the classroom, for that particular poet that we are teaching, or maybe a, a play that we want to teach to our students, or maybe we want to teach them essay writing or paragraph writing, or if we want to teach them speaking skills. So if we have a good understanding of what all platforms are included in the new media and what are their features, then it will help us in making the right selection for our teaching. So briefly, I can tell you that there are a lot of definitions and explanations when it comes to new media. I don't want to get into that because that is not the purpose of this particular talk. So let us have the common understanding right now. When we talk about the newspaper articles or music or podcast or videos, whatever is delivered digitally, that comes under new media. So when you can have access through mobile phones or through streaming apps or on the laptop or through the internet. So when you are able to have an access to those platforms, that is called new media. And this definition I have got from uh, Southern New Hampshire University, Joe Cotte, who is the staff writer for that. And there is a program on new media uh, for journalism, which they teach. So I like this definition, and I said it's very brief and it clears, what we can understand by new media. So hope it's clear that whatever is digitally delivered, that comes under new media. Now, when we think of that, then we can see that, websites, blogs, emails, social media networks, we have Facebook, we have Twitter, all those also come under new media. Then we have music, television streaming services, you have Google videos, you have YouTube videos, which come under this. Virtual and augmented reality also come under this new media. So these are a few examples, and look at the image that is there. It says, why should we know them? Because the new age learners, they are ready for technology. They are really enthusiastic. They are more participative. You can find them, you can find your students in them, even if they are online, if we are making use of these uh, new media. Now, just to help you out, when we are talking about that blogs are a part of yeah, new media, then where to find? You can go to blogger.com, Blogspot, you can go to WordPress, and Technorati also is there. When it comes to virtual worlds, you can always go to these two sites, particularly secondlife.com. Wikis, you can go to wikipedia.com or Wikispaces. I have used Wikispaces for my classes. I can vouch for that. If you want to help your students develop writing skills, it's a wonderful platform. And social bookmarking, Delicious, is very popular. P2P file sharing, now when we are talking about, it's not only about students and teaching. Sometimes you need to share your reading material, sometimes you want to share the videos, sometimes you want to share your audio files. So BitTorrent is very popular, and you can always make use of that. Just type it and you will find, you know a lot of things you can do with BitTorrent, and you can share those audio files and video files with your students. Other things also can be done, but I think students, you know, it's a platform where you can where the things are stored, and they can pick and use it whenever they want for further reading, or for before the test, or they want to do some more practice for a particular element. They can do that. So it's a wonderful platform. Again, video clips and mashups on YouTube and Google Videos, you can find that. And you must, I don't know whether you are acquainted with this, uh, five C's of new media. If we understand, we will never ever falter in making the selection. So one thing is, with new media you can communicate very well with your students, with your fellow colleagues. You can collaborate with your colleagues, and you can make your students collaborate. So you can form the groups, you can form the pairs, and make you can help them in doing the group activity and the pair activity, if you have an understanding which new media to use. Community, I think all of us are part of one community or the other community. LTI, SIG, or IATFL, or TESOL. There you have uh, various communities are there, and sub communities are there, where you can develop your which you can always use for your professional development. Similarly, you can encourage your students also to do that. Creativity, because in my coming slides you will see that how you can help your students develop their creativity in for writing, as well as even for thinking, even for speaking. They can always and we can always help them enhance their creativity. It gives them space to express themselves. So we'll talk about that later, but it's a if you talk about new media, it's one of the major attributes, a major major feature when it comes to new media. Convergence, there are platforms where you can you can have PPTs, you can have audio, video, and you can have the discussion as well. And let me tell you that uh, blogging, in fact, is a wonderful new media platform, where you can always encourage your students to post the video, where they can talk about what they really liked, or some other videos which they might have come across, and they found that it should be shared with the teacher and their fellow students. They can do that if you have a class uh, blog. So this is how we find that it's very important to remember these 5 C's. There are certain more things which we should remember, because those are the features which will help us distinguishing our new media from the old media. See, what happens, old media comes like you have newspapers, you print newspapers, or you have those traditional videos. So if you have those photographs or paintings, those are part of old media, but when digitally it is being presented, it comes under new media. So there are certain things we need to remember here. First characteristic feature I have already talked about. It should be digital. It is very interactive, hypertextual. You are presenting your talk through PPTs. You can always have the hyperlink, and you can take your students to a video which can just you can further which can further give them more information on that. Similarly, you will also agree that these new media, they are they help you connect globally. It's not at the local level you are connected. Your students, they will be globally interconnected. So you see that when we talk about that they should be more open, they should be able to break their own stereotypes, then we find it really difficult at times. But when they are globally interconnected, it will become very easy, because they will know what is happening in the other part of the world, how the students of the other part of the world are doing these kinds of activities, exercises, what other things they are doing when it comes to learning a specific element, or maybe the branch of study. So I think our students, they are benefited because of this new media. it's virtual. It's not that when we have to teach them, we are virtually connected. I have seen my own kids. They, whenever they have to make the uh, birthday parties, or they have to connect when they want to study together in the night, so they just connect with each other virtually, and they are able to work together, discuss together, and do the projects. So new media is providing a lot of avenues right now, and we need to really make our students make use learn the use of uh, educational use of this new media based on simulation. Sometimes you find that our student is not able to understand something, what went wrong or how the things can be done. You can just it's not very much done in when it comes to English courses, but when it comes to engineering, when it comes to sciences courses, this really comes as a beautiful aid, a wonderful aid to their teaching, and students, they get uh, immensely benefited. Now, so new media, it provides you the support, it enhances, it optimizes your delivery information. So finally, when you talk about the delivery of your instruction, you find that it optimizes your time. Now, right now, I'm using a lot of images. So from where have I got this? This PPT background, which I have got from Slide Go. I wanted something which can really help me when I'm talking about new media, and talk about the transition, talk about the transformation, talk about that how there will be a flight. Right now, you can see. So this image is also helping. I have not created this. It was already there. So it optimizes our delivery. Then what we find is that it improves the student engagement and better teaching tools uh, we get as teachers. So it provides assistance to both the stakeholders, students, as well as the teachers. Now, coming to research, I thought, talking about all these media, I would like to refer to some, one study that has been, there are numerous studies that have been done, but I think, we do not have time, and it will be apt if I give you a reference to a small study that was conducted, where all the social media platforms, they were seen, and, how they were compared with each other. So this study was done by Voici Lee, who is in Hong Kong at Polytechnic University in 2017. This got published, Social Media in English Language Teaching and Learning. Please, whenever you get time, go through this paper. If you are working on a paper related to teaching learning environment during COVID-19, or maybe in the post COVID-19 era, I think you can always make use of the information which is available in this paper. So the whole point is the researcher found that YouTube is the most prominent tool. I think we tell, or we do not inform our students they are using YouTube, and we are also using YouTube extensively. So that was one finding. Another one was the wiki spaces is used weekly basis. Whenever you want your students to post their comment, when you want them to you have given a prompt, you have given them an assignment, and you want them to submit the response paper on that, then normally teachers, they use Wikispace. Now, coming to Facebook, unofficially it is being used, and WhatsApp also is being used in order to send the messages, send the exercises, send the class assignments, or regarding the dates of tests and quizzes. So this is how even WhatsApp is being used. So one thing is, we teachers are doing a lot of research, a lot of usage. The only thing is, we need to increase a bit, so that we are able to understand that how effectively we are using them for the benefit of our students. So you can always inculcate 21st century skills with the help of new media. I will not go into detail, but I will say surely when you are talking about, 21st century ICT skills, where students, they will learn how to screen, read, and surf the net for, for their particular assignments, how to navigate, and how to, use these new media for problem solving, for critical thinking, for, understanding the information which they could not understand in the classroom. Use the multimedia presentations. We teachers, I'll suggest that, on online education, online instruction delivery, we cannot have lot of text. I have seen that uh, just a while ago I had a few presentation to observe, and let me tell you that slides which are full of text, I think that will students, they are going to detest that, because of the simple reason it does not really help them in arresting their attention where they are, what they can look for, and succinctly they want to have the information which you are presenting. So this is how you find that this becomes important. Now, in the we move ahead to the second part of my talk, that is related to use new media and its use for effective teaching learning of English language and literature. So now coming to this part, uh, I don't know this particular. I think this is how I think. Yeah, thank you so much. So this quote, which is by Larry Cuban, 1986, I quote: "Technology will not have significant impact on students' learning until teachers change the way they teach." So one thing is, we cannot go the way we have been doing it in the traditional classroom. We have to understand when the platform has changed, when the interaction has changed, when the mode has changed. We also need to change. We cannot use our previous slides, or we cannot use our previous teaching material. They can be our base, but the presentation has to be different, the platforms have to be different. And even we need to see, when we are designing our quizzes, we should see that they should not be able to cheat, or they should not copy the share the answers. So we have to take so much of precaution when we are using these online platforms for assessment. So both the ways, I think it's a good statement, where it gives us insight into our approach towards online instruction delivery. Now, for what all purposes we can use this new media? Teaching, learning, assessing, evaluating, collaborating. I have already talked about peer reviewing. Also, you can do that. You can allow your students to, look at the answers which have been given by your fellow friends, by their fellow friends, and then make their comments. So, what will happen this way? You will help them enhance their understanding. What were the good examples were given by their fellow friends, how the discussion was done, how were arguments presented by them. So what you find, the you are optimizing the resources which are available to you, and you are helping your students also. And the similar thing, if they keep on using, I'm very sure you are grooming them for their professional life as well. Then preview reviewing, uh, before submitting they can review, and they can make the, what we do when we create the Google Doc, one document in the Google Doc, and we are working simultaneously, or we are if we are using online platform, online forums, for maybe on LMS we are using, or maybe we might use uh, other platforms which are available, Microsoft Form, Microsoft Teams, you have. So what will happen there, they keep posting, they keep commenting on each other's post. So it really helps them in improving their writing skills, thinking skills, present in their presentations. It also improves their vocabulary. It helps them improve their, you know, grammatical accuracy when they are writing. Feedback you can always provide. Lesson planning you have to do. And it's a, it's very much required when it comes to the use of new media. We need to do a proper lesson planning for better learning outcomes. Yes, I said we can use that. It's not that whatever is available there in the present moment you can use. Sometimes, you know, you will find the videos related to, those videos which are archived in some, website, and you can always have an access to those English movies, songs, TV soap operas, or maybe sports matches, match commentaries, or maybe, sometimes you will find even old documents. They have been scanned and kept in the different libraries, and you can always refer to them for doing, you know uh, research. So this is a research, and you can encourage your students also to look at the archives. Right now, I can just share with you, my son is doing PhD from Oklahoma State University. This time he's doing, because it was not possible to travel, so he has been given online uh, mode. Now, he was supposed to access the archive of poetry from different universities, and supposed to pick up the poem and then, present it in the classroom. Now, so there is a specific genre, they were supposed to deconstruct and do that. Right now he's working on that. The only point is that, you are sitting here in India, and you are, you are having an access the libraries there in US or UK, and you are looking at a specific archive, and you are able to retrieve that, and you are able to use that for your learning purposes. Wonderful, wonderful. So that's the advantage of new media. So, friends, when I was talking about TV soap operas and audio soap operas, I thought, let me just share with you that a few soap operas I see that even students sharing with me, those really help them in developing their, English communication skills. I think we can always help our students who are not able to speak fluently, and they have problem with their spontaneity, or they are not able to develop that kind of natural flair for the language, or natural uh, speaking of the language. So then you can always give them an exposure to these kinds of soap operas and audio operas. Here you have Coronation Street, which is very popular. The Archers by BBC Radio 4, Friends, that helps. How I Met Your Mother, because students nowadays, they want some, comedy shows. Grey's Anatomy, those who are interested in, something they want to watch related to medical field, they can go for that. There are other soap operas also, you can ask them to watch them. Now, particularly, I can share that I learned from the TV commentary, and I used to watch BBC news. So this is how it really helped me, because I'm from Hindi medium, and gradually I picked up. In fact, it was only right now I have 26 years of my teaching experience. In those days, we did not have enough exposure. Excuse me. I'm very sure some of the participants right now, they must have also watched, and they have fun, and in a natural way they are able to pick up the language. So as teachers, we can always help them. Now, there are a few more new media learning platforms. I recommend that we as teachers should have the class blogs, because what happens there, uh, you can use the creativity of your students. They can post, they can share, they can collaborate. So it will be really good. You can see it will be really colorful, and you can help them post their poems, or maybe if they have watched any play on YouTube, or maybe they heard some speech they would like to share, or you can also share. So see, the whole point is they should be surrounded with English. If you really want to help them in improving their communication skills in English, that is something that we should do. And here is the website from where you can take the help. Weebly for education. You have to just there are small steps like any other app or platform. You have to sign up and then start using it. So it's very, very interesting. Here is an example. It's learning stories because it fascinated me. So I thought, okay, let me just share with you that when the at the young age, it can be used at all the levels. At 10th level, 12th level, and university level. I made the class blog for my effective public speaking course. So now it's not on because right now I'm teaching other courses. So you can see here this was created by Shamo Gani, and it's on edu blogs. And I'll show you there are 10 tips for a successful class blog. Here is the site. You can go to that, and I think it will be really useful for you if you want to create one. Here, this is the learning stories blog. You can see how how the student has posted some drawing that he or she created. Now you can see the patterns and you can help them. So similarly, related to your course, related to whatever you are teaching, you can create posts, and you can create those things as the header for them. And you will find that they'll be using your uh, in fact you can in fact assign some marks also for this if you want. When I created, then I kept marks for the postings they used to have on the class blog. So you can also think of that. That will improve their writing skills. And if you want to allow them to have creativity, you can give them the freedom of posting the videos, or maybe audios, or maybe some painting, or maybe some image. So this way you will have multimodality also in place, and you will find it will make your students more interested in doing the writing part, what you usually find that they are not interested in. So this is how we teachers can create wonderful class blog. So for learning English, you can use mobile phones. On mobile phones, you have various apps which can be used. And if we know, then only we can help the students to download that app and then use it for his or her advantage. You have for vocabulary building, you have dictionaries, you have for writing also, for learning grammar as well. You have even for you for for conducting the quizzes. You can have, for example, Kahoot is a wonderful app. You can use it, which is game based learning. You can have you can make the groups, and group wise you can check the answer. If you have application oriented question there, and you want them to deliberate and then answer, you can have the time bound question, and the participants in the group, they will discuss and they will post you immediately. You will get that, and you can see who is the winner of that particular question. You can use it for formative assessment, and you can also use it for class discussion. It's very simple. I have got it from the Kahoot website. So it's flexible, it's simple, it's diverse, and it is very engaging for the students. It's global and it is free. So what else do we want as teachers? If there's something free, if we it's very, very simple. Let me tell you. Recently, I used it for my introduction to mass comm course, and there I teach film as a medium of mass communication. So I created 5 questions, and I gave them just 5 minutes, because those they were supposed to watch the clippings also, and then they were supposed to answer. So now this with this I could engage, and it was very interesting for my students. This was done in the last semester. Let me just share with you. And again, steps are given on the website. You can always use them. Now, coming to British Council website, you know that British Council, American Embassy, that is RELO, they are very active, and they have provided a lot of online resources. And as teachers, I believe we have been using for our face-to-face classes, but we can always use these online resources for our advantage when we are conducting the online classes, online assignments, online quizzes. So we have here, especially for English courses for adults, for teenagers, for kids. You have, so we have free resources. We can use them, and we can ask students also to enroll in those particular courses. They themselves also, if they are interested, then I think it will be better to guide them to these online resources. Now here you can see that you have videos, you have grammar and vocabulary, you have fun and games, and you have for business and work, English you have. Then for improving the writing skills, you have separate. If somebody is planning to get some training for IELTS, you can always guide your students, being English teachers, to go to the site and then practice for IELTS. And there are you know a list of apps students can use to get mastery in different aspects, in different elements, in different topics related to English language. So this is how you find that British Council website is really really handy. Now here, again, I thought, let me just show you. Here you have My English, British Council. Here you find that, they have for online English classes for adults. Then you have resources and websites. You have Learn English with apps and Learn English apps for kids. So whether the teacher is teaching at the kindergarten, or maybe first class, or maybe fifth class, or maybe 10th grade, or maybe at the college level, university level, or students from management, or students who are from engineering stream, you can always make extensive use of this site. Vocabulary.com is another one. Students, they will come, must be coming to you asking, how should I prepare for GRE? You can always guide them. Howcast is another website, like Khan Academy. You find very good wherever they get stuck, they want to have more training, ask them to go to these websites where they get online resources. So now word games, most of the time, you once you create interest in them, in vocabulary building, and introduce them to Scrabble, and say that, okay, all the remaining ones are also there for vocabulary building. You have taught them, you have given them exposure for one, and now they will be using them on their own. So you can just visualize how communicative your students will become. You are just you are mentoring them in the right way, you are guiding them, you are not trying to fill the picture, you are trying to guide them to their own learning process, so that they can take up the ownership of their own learning. So that will be really really good. Now, as I said, you should surround your students with English using the YouTube, movies, radios, friends who talk, who speak in English. You can make them, you can guide them to you make use of podcast. It's very good. I'm going to talk about that in the next slide. You can ask them to use the mobile phones, ask them to explore if they want to use any of the apps. Uh, English books are there, dictionaries are there online, and free storybooks are there, free poetry books are there. Yeah, they can, listen to free online plays also. So the whole idea is that, as English teachers, we should help them have as much exposure as possible to create interest in them for the language and for literature that we are teaching. TOEFL also, you will find this kind of a site is there, and many more sites. I think now it's not that they need to buy the books. They have free online resources. Just guide them. So even the students who cannot afford to have those costly books, they can always, prepare online through these on these websites, on these platforms, and then they have to just pay for whatever exams they want to go for. Even for entrance exams or maybe competitive exams, students come and ask us, so we can always guide them. Moodle is another learning platform which you can use. It's very flexible, open. You can download that and you can, use it. So educators, they use it. It's a single robust platform. It's very secure and it's integrated. You can have the personalized learning environment also. If a student is not able to understand something, you can just help them individually. It will not be seen by others. So see, the kind of individual training or attention you were giving in the classroom, when you were in the face to face, or maybe you can say on campus teaching learning, still you are able to do by using the online platform. I read one paper in which the researcher shared that how she had the class consult for consultation. And usually because it's a pattern there, that students, they can come in that particular scheduled hour and they can ask their doubts. Now this teacher, she maintained the same thing for online teaching, and it happened so that the students started logging in and interacting with her, talking about the way he or she is reacting to this COVID-19, and then talking about that how it's becoming difficult for her to manage with her younger brother, and how it creates problems when she has to work and she's not able to understand. So she was talking that how this, whatever we were doing on campus, can be also managed when we are using these new media platforms. Okay. You always ask your students to give presentations. Please tell them. Usually they will go for whatever way we can do, or by using our laptop, whatever is available there. But ask them, there are websites, they can go for Prezi, SlideShare, AuthorStream, or Slide Rocket. When you ask them to go through this, you will find that they will start experimenting, and they will see that how well they can present their ideas. These slides, they will these platforms, they allow them to make more interactive presentations. So you will praise their creativity, and you will find that now you don't need to worry. You have taught them how to explore themselves. This is what is important. In fact, I always appreciate what Jean Piaget has said, though it was written long back in 1896. But I'm a big fan of this, because he said that there must be far less telling on the part of the teacher, and far more doing on the part of the student. When will we be able to do that? We will be able to do when we are giving opportunities to our students to explore. We show the way, and we help them explore on their own. So nowadays, teaching learning is not controlled by the teachers, all of you know, but it cannot be controlled by the learner also. So it has to be mentored by the teacher, and students, uh, they should be helped to take charge of their own learning. Now, collaborative tools, I have already talked about blogs and wiki spaces. Yeah, I would like to talk about mixy ideas. If you conduct the speaking assignments in your classes, please use this. It's a wonderful platform for English teachers. And if you want to organize the debates, or if you want to have the plays, if you want to have the music, or any cultural events also, whatever, wherever you want to have collaborative presence, uh, you want your students to present, and without any interruption they should be able to do whatever they could do in the classes, or maybe when there were on campus activities. For similar things you can use this mixi ideas. Use Google Forms for your advantage for preparing the questionnaires or quizzes, worksheets. If for conducting the evaluation you can do that, and you have, you know this way you can just grade them very easily. So podcast, as I said, these are the digital audios you can always create, or you can, there are available podcasts. Motivate them to use them, uh, and it will help them visualize and pay attention to pronunciation, articulation, delivery. It will improve their public speaking skills also. I extensively use that in my classes. So for this, if you want to create one on your own, you need to use Audacity. That's the tool that you need to use to create a podcast. If we want to help our students to develop a podcast, there also you need to tell them use Audacity when you are recording yourself, because it will help them editing and exporting their recordings. Now, digital posters. This semester, I am going to use digital posters, which are called Gloucester. Okay. And, my students, they are really interested, they are enthusiastic, because I'm teaching cross cultural skills this time. So now it was a challenge. I used to take my students for field trips. Now I cannot do that. So what I did was I just proposed that I want to have your understanding into the things, and you should be able to present it. So I just said that we can have the presentation, we can have or we can have posters, and all of them were of the view that it's better that we go for posters, because we'll be able to use our images that we will be able to click, or maybe use photographs, because it's related to culture. So from their own albums they would like to pull out some uh, photographs and use them. So it's a wonderful thing. You will find that your students, they will be quite keen to work on such ideas. There's no dearth of ideas. The only thing is we need to be more accepting to these ideas. And first, we need to understand from where we can tap these resources, and then we can motivate our students to use them. You can publish your document online. These are the various platforms where you can do that. Creating short stories, you can always help them understanding that you can create, publish your short stories. If they want to create cartoon strips, they can use Devolver. Extra normal is where you want to use the strips with sounds, and they can always experiment with that. And Toon do for creating the cartoon strips, and Storybird is again for creating the stories. So here are some examples which were given. See, when they are doing it, we need to understand this, that it's not that higher students cannot be given this. The thing is, for example, now, right now, this idea has come to me that I can ask them to visit these, sites, and I can ask them to create a series of, images and, story board they can create, where they can talk about the intercultural conflicts. I did not have this idea, but right now, just now, when I'm talking about it, it has come to my mind. And I'm very sure when I present this, they will be able to create which is visible, which is concrete, and they will be reading, and they will be presenting, they will be creating those kinds of facial expressions, dialogues. So, lot of learning will take place, and they will have deeper understanding that how, what kind of stereotypical ideas they have, how they can come out of their own biases, and how they can help others, and how they can understand others when they are talking about the intercultural conflicts. So now, you can ask them to use Twitter and Facebook also. Those are micro blogging. Twitter particularly, it is considered as micro blogging, because you have limited characters there. So they will learn to write succinctly, very precisely. Normally, students, they write, in an elaborate manner. If you want to teach them, motivate them to use Twitter to communicate. So, coming to the final take home from this talk, you can have four take home points. One, that all education programs, they promote knowledge, competency, and performance. Any program related to any subject, any discipline, whether it is from for English, in English communication skills, or it is related to mathematics, or it is related to music, science, biology, or maybe engineering, it is there. So we can always use it for English language as well. So, sorry. And the second take home is that new media, including ICT, we can always use for capacity building and training of ourselves as teachers and of our students. Uh, because if we have good understanding, we can always use them. Then there are innovative and effective ways of teaching, learning, and research. I, why I have written research here, because as I mentioned one research. Now, all of you are using online platform right now. You will be conducting the quizzes, you will be conducting the poster uh, presentation, you will be conducting the presentations, or maybe group discussion. So for all these, you can always, document that, and you can present that in the form of a paper. I myself am doing for emergency teaching, ERT. So I have collected the views of the teachers, and I'm doing that. Uh, and the last point is that inclusion of learning tools, easier use of multimedia or simulation of tools will happen only when we are enthusiastic and we give an exposure to these platforms to our students at different points of time when we are delivering our course instructions. So this is there, and here are some interesting websites. You can, if you want, you can go through them. These are different websites, and they will be really useful, especially for teaching and learning of English. And here are my references, which I have used while preparing my contents for this lecture. And these are my credits for the images that I have used throughout my presentation. And a big thank you for being wonderful participants. Yeah.
Um,
Now,
Thank you very much, ma'am, for this wonderful session. If you look at the YouTube comments, we are flooded with some very, very nice comments. And from that, we can gather that we are coming together as a teaching community and trying to make the best of the perks of virtual teaching and trying to work around the limitations. We have a little time for one
the
quick
new
question.
it's the new media, right?
Yes, it is. So,
Yeah.
Miss Meena Velan, she has a very nice question to ask. She asks, student discipline, behavior, psychological controls, case study of each individuals are all being missed when it comes to online teaching. How will you overcome these main areas? A very close question asked by Miss Moitri Paul. She asks how to develop emotional quotient among teachers and
I answer?
students to grapple
Should
with
I
the
answer
virtual
first question, Yasha?
teaching method.
Yasha, first,
Um,
I should answer the first
yes,
question.
yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Just take
Yeah.
your time and answer where you
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
Thank you very
sure.
much.
It's a pleasure, actually. Thank you for the intelligent question that you have asked. Actually, uh, this really bothers all of us as teachers. When it comes to the, psychological stresses that students they are undergoing right now, and we cannot get to know about all the students. So it becomes really difficult, and there is a disconnect, and the kind of empathy we used to exercise when we were teaching on campus, that is missing somewhere. So the only see there are limitations, but at the same time we can try to find out the solutions as well. As I said that when you are teaching online, you can just fix up one class hour, maybe 12 to 1 or 1 to 3, or maybe 4 to 5, or maybe half an hour window where your students can come and talk to you the way you were doing in your on campus teaching. The similar thing should be created. And of course, I'm very sure, like when you have to wait, you have to keep it on, and there's a possibility sometimes nobody will come. But we have to bear with that. And students, it's not easy for them to open up also in one go. So there is a possibility they might come back again to you, and maybe in the subsequent meetings they will talk about the kind of psychological stress they are undergoing. And another suggestion will be, as a teacher, which I am doing, I usually, on Fridays I post, because we have 5 days a week now. So I post some inspirational story or interview to my students, so that uh, they feel good. It's not all the time teaching. You are the way you used to have the laughter, you try to have that in the classroom right now also. We are trying our level best to be as natural as possible. Similarly, you know when we are doing teaching there also, we try. But for the students, we can, what we can do, if we can think of posting some inspirational stories, where particularly some young kid, or maybe some family, or maybe some patient, or maybe some refugee might have tried to overcome a problem which was colossal for them in life. So it will be inspirational for them, or maybe somebody might have inspirational achievements. So it will be very good to share with them. If we develop a habit of posting now and then, I'm very sure your students will get relieved in that case. Of course, totally we cannot replace that the way we have been doing on campus. I think it is agreed. And I think um, we have that understanding. But at the same time, we cannot leave our efforts to address the problems which our students face. So this is my understanding. Yeah, Tiasha, hope it answers the question.
I hope it answers the question for our dear uh, colleague who has asked this question. And thank you very much, ma'am, for this such an enlightening and enriching session. And I would like to pass over the beacon to Obishikta, ma'am, and proceed with today's event. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you very much. It was indeed a great pleasure, and I thank you all the participants who are there. I am hopeful that my little effort will help them in some way in you know making their own teaching and learning vibrant. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us. Thank you.
Can I now turn off?
Yes, yes, ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
surely.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, now let us introduce Dr. Milani Pope. Dr. Pope, are you able to hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for joining. Okay, so let me first introduce Dr. Milani Pope to all of you. Dr. Milani Pope is Associate Professor of Learning and Teaching at the University of Derby, where she works with colleagues across the university to develop practice in all areas of learning, teaching, and assessment. Her background and research is in English language and literature and English teaching, specializing in the development of high school children's metalinguistic awareness and its impact on their written language development and the implications for English pedagogy. Her current work is focused on the development of growth mindsets and coaching approaches to all aspects of teaching, assessment, academic professional development. She has worked in secondary, further, and higher education and has trained hundreds of people to teach for over 25 years. And she is also a senior fellow of the Higher Education Academy. So, over to you, ma'am. Uh,
Thank you. Thank you very much. So,
Ma'am, do you want to share your screen?
yes, I'm just going to share my screen if
Okay.
I can. So just bear with me while I try and do that. Hello, everybody. So I'm working on one screen, so just give me a moment. Then share this screen. Let's click share. Let's get this screen presenting. Sorry, it doesn't want to present. Let me start again.
Ma'am, you can just maximize the screen.
There we go. Hopefully it's going to start.
Click on the slideshow.
I think my computer's going very slow this afternoon, everybody. It tells me it's screen sharing. And it's not doing anything my end. Okay, is that working?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
it's perfectly fine.
Hopefully we're ready to go. Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for bearing with me. Hello, good evening. And thank you very much for inviting me to speak to you today, everybody. So thank you for the introduction. I am Dr. Melanie Pope. I won't tell you any more about me. That was a great introduction. And in my role, I support academic colleagues across the university with quality enhancement and quality assurance of learning, teaching and assessment practice in all subjects. I'm really delighted to talk to you today, and I'd like to share with you some of the things that I've been learning about to do with enhancing practice in our current context of the COVID-19 teaching environment. I suppose it's really important to say I'm very much going to focus on the university sector, so apologies to those of you that aren't working in that sector, but I do think the lessons that I've learned and that I'm currently working on colleagues to develop are applicable across different sectors, because I know those, I've worked in them too. I do feel that colleagues teaching language and literature are particularly valuable to the world at the moment. So I'd really like to talk today about teaching language and literature in the COVID-19 world and the opportunities for enhanced practice that we have. At this challenging time that we find ourselves in, communication in a world language has never been more important. Listening to and hearing each other's experiences and stories of COVID-19 or of Black Lives Matter or of the political contexts in which these challenges are happening, and the individual stories that are unfolding within these contexts can only happen when we understand each other.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt you. Your voice is a little low. Can you speak a little louder?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Let me just turn my volume up a bit and see if that works.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe better? Is that better? Oh,
yes.
Thank you. Thank you for stopping me. Okay. So what we need now are evolving pedagogies to respond to evolving circumstances that we find ourselves in. Pedagogies have shifted to respond to our worldwide crisis, and it was good to hear some of the previous presentation talking about some of that. And languages have adapted as human and technological practices have quickly evolved to enable us to live our everyday lives in new and emerging ways. Without technology, a COVID world would have been much more challenging. We're particularly aware of this in higher education, or maybe education more generally, despite the challenges we've faced. And we've had to articulate a new language of technology and pedagogy to function as effectively as we could in the world in the last few months. I congratulate every one of you for your resilience and for your creativity as you have continued to teach English language and literature in extraordinarily difficult circumstances. So what has this meant for our practice? Well, it means that the language of pedagogy and assessment has had to change for us as practitioners. And it means that the language of learning has had to change for our students. And it means that the language that we've been teaching and the literature that we will be teaching very soon have also changed. We've learned new language of the medical world. We've learned new words and concepts. And as behaviours and attitudes and etiquettes and values have changed in this pandemic, all of those things have meant that language has changed, the world has changed, and our subject has changed as a result. And that means our methods have changed and our tools have changed too. English has evolved so rapidly to both express and help us make sense of this situation. It is one of the joys and the challenges of our discipline, and it's probably one of the reasons why we are students of this language. We know that medical language... Hello?
Madam, sorry to interrupt you again. So sorry. Ma'am, your voice is still very low.
Very low.
The participants are telling. So ma'am, can you just adjust the voice?
Yes. If I hold the mic?
Yes, ma'am, it's better. Or you can just adjust the audio settings in your, you can adjust the audio setting in your PC. Can you just, you know, make it a bit higher?
Yeah, I've just been adjusting those. Is that better?
Ma'am, a bit more. It's still
more.
60.
Yes, more.
Yeah.
More?
Make it 80, better? That would be better.
Yeah, okay.
Make it 80, that would be better.
Is that
great.
better?
Great, madam.
Okay,
Yes,
all right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's all
Please
right.
continue.
Okay, yeah, can you hear me now? Okay, all right. So, yeah, English evolving has been one of the joys of our discipline, but it's also one of the challenges. And it's one of the reasons why we enjoy what we do, why we teach English. Medical language has developed exponentially. Our understanding of it has, and the use of it has, because millions of people have come into contact with this kind of language, perhaps as never before. Scientific language has come into common usage, and so has technological language too. Also, political language, as governments around the world respond in vastly different ways, and they try not just to save human lives, but perhaps also try to save their political lives. The Black Lives Matter movement shows how in the Western world, white people still do not know how to use language to talk about people of any colour other than their own. Perhaps as never before, English language has shown humanity to be simultaneously united and divided. We're united through coronavirus. We're divided through our differential experiences of coronavirus. We're united in our sense of loss and grief and fear, but we're divided by the rhetoric of some world leaders who seem to actively seek to divide people. English is both healing and wounding people every day around the globe. So the way we teach it is vital at this time. Move my slide on. There we go. So English language teaching must evolve as rapidly as the language itself to meet the unprecedented needs of our learners. In my view, English teachers are key workers in this pandemic. Without English teachers, people all over the world cannot make sense of the world as it currently is, and therefore they cannot change it for the better. They cannot interact with the information they are being given. They cannot make sense of how to be, of what to do. And at a time of so much pain and grief and sorrow, their stories of their loved ones need to be told and shared and learned from. The context of our times must be written and said and told through story and poetry and plays and songs, and the people in it must not be forgotten. Our work is vital at this time to ensure that the storytellers, the journalists, the teachers, the poets, the readers, the translators, the lawyers, the researchers, and everyone else that we teach is able to help others to make sense of a world that is not fair and is not just and does not make sense. Your work is vital because our students are the writers and communicators of tomorrow. We have had to adapt our practice quickly to keep students learning where we could as lockdowns have happened across the globe. Learning has moved online in whatever form was possible, given the technologies available for both the institutions and the students. It is, of course, the students who create the most unpredictable variables, and we, the academic body, have to anticipate these. We've had a report just this morning in the UK about digital poverty being the most difficult challenge that we have to face for the students. It's not enough for us to deploy the tools that we have at our disposal. A universal design for learning approach now requires more of us. It requires us not just to consider the learning needs of the individual student when they present in the learning environment that we create in our institutions. We now have to consider their learning needs as best as we can when they are trying to access whatever we provide for them online in what must be sometimes very challenging emotional, environmental, domestic, and maybe even physical circumstances in relation to their own health and well-being. We know that for many students, just navigating the online environment has been incredibly challenging when they have been accustomed to coming onto campus, whatever that looks like. We also know that for us, as academics, our skill sets have been challenged. The shift to online teaching from campus-based delivery is not a straightforward swap, and nor is it the same as online teaching, and experienced online educators will appreciate that. But it has become clear that this way of teaching and assessing is likely to be more of a long-term response. And so our practice needs to embrace the opportunities that working this way offers. Institutions in many countries are driven by regulators or by measures of student satisfaction, and we know they will be looking for something beyond the initial emergency response to education in this COVID-19 environment as it goes on. So, what are the opportunities that have been presented by this crisis? And how can we support students to fully engage with them so that they benefit as much as possible from them? For those of us who teach English language and English literature, I believe the opportunities are perhaps all the greater. Global crises are points in time that reveal the very best and worst of humanity, and as we have both read and probably experienced, initiated reflections about who we are, how we live, our very existence as a species, and our coexistence with every other species on the planet. Exploration of and critical engagement with what it means to be human, to be me, is dependent on our own use of language and our engagement with others' language. Our discipline is critical right now. It's critical now because every human being on the planet is vulnerable right now. So a high quality language or literature educational experience at a time when the ability to deliver it can seem to have been compromised has never been so vital. The opportunities are that we can now offer our students a learning, teaching and assessment experience that better reflects the world they are going to be working in and living in. One that is mediated by and experienced more and more through technology and technological processes. We can open up opportunities for our students to engage with people they may never have engaged with before, using technology to link them with each other, with people from around the globe in synchronous and asynchronous environments. We can get students to work asynchronously to develop a way of studying that is in alignment with applied working practices in this global working environment. With internet infrastructures improving, we can enable students to work at times to suit them, in places to suit them, meaning we can help students to access education in places we've never been able to before. We can improve social justice, social mobility, education for all, for females, for people of all classes, by enabling access to high quality English language and English literature education for more students. English teachers open doors to the world. The more students we can access, the more we can support social mobility and social justice. But offering education online is not enough alone. The experience online must be excellent, must support students who are perhaps not accustomed to learning, let alone online, And this means that we have to learn too in order to make the most of the opportunities that we would like to present. I'd like to share with you today some of the things I'm developing with my colleagues at the University of Derby in the United Kingdom as we develop our practice. We're going to be teaching in a blended learning environment as we start our academic year in a couple of weeks. Students will spend some time working on campus, but a lot of their learning will take place online. I think we've probably all had some time to get used to teaching at a basic level in the online space, given whatever tools we have in our different institutions. And I know that practice will vary from institution to institution and individual teacher to individual teacher. It's become clear, certainly in the UK, that remote teaching in universities is, as a result of this shift online, here to stay in some form, either as a full-time or a part-time experience for students in the current context, and then will stay as a feature of the university experience beyond that. The move to online learning has enabled many of us to see the benefits of a blended learning approach that we may have been resistant to before. Certainly in my role, working with academics, the message I am getting is that colleagues didn't fully appreciate the scope of our online resources and that they don't intend to go back to full face-to-face teaching. However, at this point, I would argue it is increasingly important for academics to move beyond thinking about the tools they are using to deliver the curriculum remotely to more consideration of the student experience of and quality of learning in this remote environment. So I'm going to change disciplines and talk about architecture a little now. Firstly, we have to fundamentally appreciate as academics that the architecture of the university has changed post-COVID-19. Universities used to have physical campuses and some had purely online campuses. They now have blended campuses, and it's naive to think that universities will ever go back to a purely on-campus delivery model. So the first key concept today is that our architecture has changed. The way we work with and receive our students into university campuses, therefore, also has to change. We can think of the physical and virtual campuses as being spaces for learning. But my colleague at the University of Derby, Marlies Gratian, also talked to me recently about how a physical campus is in a place and how this is understood and experienced differently from a space. And the same is true of a VLE. It is a space, but it also needs to become a place. For example, I work at the University of Derby in the United Kingdom. It has an identity rooted in the place it's located in, and it has a civic duty to its locality. And for us as teachers of English language and literature, place is integral to the way we teach the use of English language and to the stories written in the language. So place is critical to our work. When that architecture in the university or your institution changes to incorporate a virtual learning environment, a VLE, the VLE can be easily understood as a space for teaching and learning. But Gratian argues that we need to think more carefully about this and must explore what it means for a VLE to be a space for learning or a place for learning in order to foster the experience that we have of place in the physical environment. This approach is derived from the architectural concepts of space and place. So let's explore the semantics of space and place a little. So I want to talk about the VLE as a space for learning and as a place for learning, and then what I think are the implications of this for learning and teaching practice online. So first of all, what's the difference then between space and place? I'm drawing here on Parsay, Parva and Karimi's 2015 definition of space and place in architecture semiology. And in this, space is an open abstract area, and it's created out of the architectural components available to create something which can facilitate place. Place, on the other hand, has meaning and value and is not abstract, it's specific, and it's dependent on human behavior as much as the physical characteristics. So space is much more about the physical characteristics, what makes up that physical space, whereas place is much more about what happens in the space and the meaning that humans bring to it through their activities there. VLEs tend to be talked about and used as spaces. They're an architectural area. They're devoid of people. They're where learning materials are located. So this is where an online space can feel very different to students who are used to being on a campus. They're used to university or their institution being a place. They're used to coming to this place and it's full of meaning and value and human behaviours. It's a place. But when we then put all that learning into a VLE, it's in a space and there isn't all that activity that they can see and experience to turn it into a place. So the question then, as we move forward into the next phase, and certainly in the UK, welcome students back in the next few weeks, is how do we turn a campus that's now in a VLE into a learning place? We know that online learning has done this well for years, but the principles of this go far beyond the technology and the pedagogy. They really sit with an understanding of what place is. So to create place, we need to think about the people within the space. So that's what I want to do now as I move into the last part of my talk. How do we do that? Let's consider learner visibility online and agency for all, because there are key aspects to making place arise in spaces. We need to create opportunities for meaning making, for interactions, and for human behaviours in the VLE as a space. This means the visibility of the students as much as the staff, and everyone having some agency over this visibility and their own activity in the space. If these are not enabled, we'd argue that students cannot see the place, and if you can't see a place, you probably don't go there. As English educators, this becomes doubly important. We need to help the students to have a place to make meaning so that they can explore the making of meaning. It really is doubly important. So what are the tools and approaches for creating place in a VLE? So the first one, creating student visibility or presence. We have in the COVID-19 immediate situation understandably focused on the tools we've got. We needed to create a classroom in the online space. But have we made a place where everyone is visible and able to contribute and be seen? Just think about your physical classroom, and when you walk in there, you're visible and your students are visible. What's that been like in your online space? I'm referring to student visibility here as defined by Wang in 2004 as students' cognitive, social and emotive presence in various communication settings, such as posts on the discussion board, contributions in live chats, email messages, online profiles and inputs via any other means of communication. So how do you see your students in the VLE? How do you help them to see you? How do you help them to be seen themselves and to see each other? Not necessarily visually, although that's one way. Little photos, little avatars really help. But to be visible and present in many different ways in that space, because they need that feeling of being in the classroom and being able to see each other and you. Just think about how vital that is in your physical classroom, whether you're teaching language or literature, and how that sense of knowing and being with each other, seeing each other is crucial. So how does this translate into the online environment? If Wang defines student visibility, how might we then define academic visibility? Can we do it in the same way? I'm sure that we demonstrate cognitive engagement online. But what about our own social and emotional engagement online? That might sound strange at first, but I'm sure we would agree that we are socially and emotionally involved when we are in our physical face-to-face classroom. So how will we as academics demonstrate that we are socially and emotionally present in our online space? It's really important that we can do this. For the students, the VLE can be a virtual black hole, which is a bit more like a filing cabinet, something that contains lots of information, documents and resources, but not the tutor. How can you be located in there? How can you be seen? I don't know what your different platforms offer, and I don't know what your students can access. So just consider, how can you be physically present, and how can your students make their presence felt with you and with each other too? It's almost like in the VLE, holding the door open and welcoming them in. We've actually found at my university that we literally need to do this. So in one-to-one tutorials, for example, we found students very, very reluctant to kind of come in, and particularly if they get to the meeting first, they don't want to go in before their lecturer does. So be there, be welcoming, say welcome, say come in. You know, what are the things we need to do to make that space visible, felt, social and emotive presence there too? Okay. Power relations, that's what that links to. The power relations are really critical. Okay, so this leads me to my next point, enabling agency over that visibility and students' negotiation of the space. Once they're visible in that space, in the same way that in the face-to-face classroom, there are boundaries that you set, we have to do it in the online space too. Etiquette is absolutely vital in these spaces so that everybody can function. We're all going to have different expectations about this, and it's not fair on students to expect them to second guess what those boundaries and expectations are. So we have to set the etiquette about our own classrooms. How do we expect students to behave? What do we expect them to do? How do they make themselves visible? How do they ask questions? Do they? When do they? And so on. Students must also, though, feel they have some agency over that visibility in space and some negotiation of that space. We don't know how they're accessing our environment. I know from my own experience that some of our students, actually quite a lot of our students, didn't have access to laptop computers at home. They were accessing on phones. They often didn't have stable internet connections. So accessing their studies was really difficult. Some of your students might not be able to access a synchronous session in real time and may need to access it asynchronously. So do they know how to do this? Are there ways that they can engage in conversation afterwards that makes them feel included? When your students are able to attend synchronously, can they turn off their mic and their camera so that, you know, whatever's going on at home, because it's a private space we're entering, it remains private, but they can still be there. I was speaking to a student who told me that because his brother has a job and they've only got one space where they can kind of access the internet and use a computer, his brother does his work from home at that space 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. And then once 5 p.m. happens, he, the student, then works through the night on his studies. So they have to share that space. He can't be online during that time. His brother has to do his job from home. So taking all of this into account, but still trying to give the students some agency. Okay, my next point is about the wider issues of students working in the online space. Student socialization, planned interactions for belonging and learning. By socialization here, I don't mean them socializing, although that's important, especially if they're not on campus very much, but I do mean them having a place to go where they can engage in their learning. If students don't feel connected to their cohort of students, they find it difficult to contribute to the learning. So yes, a social space can be really important and a dedicated area for that, but planned interactions to drive the learning are critical. What do you expect their engagement to look like? Have you let them know everything you expect them to contribute to? And when they're doing this, are they working independently alone, or are they working independently and together? I'm sure you've identified ways to get students working together virtually so they can develop and practice language reception, language production. These are located in real life social contexts. And then what about engagement in literary study? How are they working? Are they still doing things where they're co-constructing the learning, where they're working together, where they're not just working in isolation? Because even when students are used to working independently, they're often still having conversations about it when they're on campus. How are we making space for them to do that so that they're not just sitting alone, working independently alone a lot of the time? This is a challenge I'm currently working with my colleagues to address. We're working really hard to make sure that students are still working together even when they're at home. Okay, and as we move on, finally thinking about how can we give students a voice and how can we help them to co-construct the curriculum? How can we create opportunities for relevance? How can we give them opportunities to choose and select the texts they're working with, bringing in their own stories, bringing in their own lives, bringing in the truth of their own communication to what we're doing, bringing in the reality of the current context so that communications are generated from their real life experiences, so that what they're talking about is mine and is ours. It's easy for us to take agency away from our students by prescribing text, by deciding what they should study and the reasons why, based on its perceived value in our curriculum. But our language is not static, the curriculum is not static, and right now I think our voices of our students need to be heard. So I'm going to come to the end of my talk now, colleagues. I believe passionately this is a difficult time. We have many opportunities presented to us to reach out and educate in ways that we've not had the impetus or the will to do before, maybe, or maybe the resources. But now we've tried the tools, we've taught differently, we must capitalize on them to ensure our learners are equipped to give the world what it needs to move into the next phase of the COVID-19 world. The world needs them in a technologically driven environment because they are the citizens of that world. I wish you well as you go about your critical work, and thank you very much for listening today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for such an enlightening session. The topic was very relevant for today's scenario. I have one very interesting question from our viewers. Deepthi Menon has asked, does cultural diversity play a role in defining blended learning approach?
Just cultural diversity. I guess I don't think it does in terms of methods. I think it probably does in terms of expectations, both expectations of students, expectations of staff, expectations of your institutions. So yes, I think you're absolutely going to be driven by what your institutions are expecting, by what your students might be expecting. But at the same time, I think what we found is that what our students expect and what we are going to do still might not match each other, or what our students might say they want and what we're going to do might not match each other, because what we're able to offer and what students would like are not necessarily the same thing. And sometimes we're hearing different things from students. Some of our students don't want online learning, they want face-to-face learning right now. A lot of them don't want that. But the reality is we can't offer face-to-face learning or as much as they would like. It's not going to be possible because we still have to be socially distancing. We don't have enough physical campus to do that. We don't have enough staff to run repeated sessions. So there's some degree, yes, and culturally, I recognise some online learning will be more accepted than others. I also think that sometimes we're just at the whim of what do our students like, and sometimes we just have to say we can't do that, so we're going to offer the best we can. And then we might find that students, once they get used to it, are more accepting of what we can offer.
Thank you, ma'am, for such a good reply. Do you have time for another question? Because it's also a very interesting question. Piyush Pradhan has asked that how would learner cope up with the language fluctuations witnessed more through virtual platforms than physical classrooms?
So I think that's a really interesting question. I think what we've got again is the opportunity to use the technology to explore those fluctuations more. So we've got the opportunity to identify them and interpret them and interrogate them more. I think sometimes in our classrooms we can become really static. We're only experiencing a really narrow range actually of English and Englishes and literatures, and we can get very stuck in those because this is the limits of our experience, and actually we've got real opportunities to say, actually, just go here and here, and this is the reality of world Englishes, and then we can interrogate those. So I would see those as an opportunity. I think it also puts more agency onto the learners. Go out and find out about that. How is it different? Why is it different? What is the cultural difference there? But of course that needs managing, but I think it's an opportunity again.
Thank you very much for the wonderful session. We look forward to hearing from you in the conference as well. That will be in the month of December. So thank you once again from the entire department. Thank
You're
you.
very welcome. Thank you all very much. Take care, everybody. See you soon. Bye bye.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So that's all for today, and thus we come to the end of our day one of international lecture series on language and literature. Tomorrow we are looking forward to meet all of you again at 3 p.m. sharp. Tomorrow we have with us Mr. Scott Granville, the director of Chasing Time English New Zealand, and Professor Lisa Hopkins from Sheffield University, UK. Both of them have very good topics in their store. So please stay tuned for witnessing such great lectures tomorrow as well. Thank you. Thank you all.